For defending our way of life, we have been called greenies, terrorists, and traitors. Personally, I have been put in prison and in solitary confinement for this reason.
Hey guys, how are you doing? My name is Tiger Sheu, and I'm here with Pacific Rim Video at the Los Angeles Asian Pacific Film Festival, and we're covering a lot of the cool films that are being showcased today. And here we're with the wonderful director, Ashley
Duong.
Ashley Duong. Okay, I just want to make sure I say that correctly. So you have the film premiering here at the festival called A Time to Swim. Can you tell us a little about that?
Yes, it is. It follows the indigenous leader Mutang Urud as he returns home to his village in Sarawak, Malaysia for the first time in 25 years. And he was exiled 25 years ago for inciting his tribe to do these, blockades of the timber roads to protect the land. And for that, he was thrown in jail, and then when he was out on bail, he escaped to Canada. And that's where I met him. Okay. He established a family there. He has these two amazing children and a French-Canadian wife. And he wanted to bring his kids back for the first time. So I went with him and learned about, he was supposed to not stay away from politics, but when he was there, he kind of got more and more involved in the local politics. And through this film, you see how forces such as deforestation and modernization have an impact on a community.
Okay, I mean, I think especially today, even being from Canada, in the United States, right, we're doing a lot of the same struggle with our pipeline trying to be built and whatnot. What really drove you in the process to really speak up for these marginalized voices? Can you kind of just tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, well, I think Mutang and his community, that story really touched me, partly because I am from Canada, and Mutang, living in Canada, he said that, after working a lot with the First Nations in Canada, he sees what the First Nations have done here in Canada, and he realizes that a lot more can be done for his tribe. The contact is a lot more recent for his tribe in Malaysia, and so he sees Canada as being prophetic, and a lot of the problems that First Nations are experiencing there are starting to happen to his community, and he wants to stop that before it does. And for me personally, I think I'm a child of an immigrant, of immigrant parents.
Many of us are, right?
Exactly, yeah. My parents are from Vietnam, and I think the story of his daughter going back and learning about her family and her cultural roots for the first time really touched me. I was also 14, the same age as his daughter, when I went back to Vietnam for the first time. And so she's now the narrator of the film. It's narrated by his daughter.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So a whole family event here going on, huh?
Exactly. And yeah, so I think that's my entry point into the film.
And, as a filmmaker, what I find very interesting about this film is generally when we hear Asian American film or Asian film in general, they talk about China, Korea, Japan, which, again, important to speak about their topics, but you don't hear so much about Southeast Asia. And so, being Vietnamese, having that voice being spoken, or Malaysia, how important was that in doing this film? Was that a driving factor at all?
The fact to give more voice to Southeast Asian maybe it's the first time I've thought about it in those words. I think it is important, representation of voices, and you're right, there isn't much representation of, Vietnamese or Malaysian, but I think this film is very specifically about one tribe, the Kelabit, and it's small. It's like 6,000 people, and their land and culture are undergoing a lot of dramatic changes. So my parents are always worried that I will lose my cultural roots and lose my language and culture, but then I tell them there's still a Vietnam to go back to. Whereas, for the Kelabit, their homeland is threatened, so it's not. They don't really. It's even more pressing, conservation of culture.
And in this day and age, with technology and social media, especially, you have a great platform. What do you hope to do with your film going forward from here? What's the scenario here that we're looking for?
Yes, this is the question that keeps me up at night. It's we're getting a lot of. No, it's really great. We have a great platform. We put the Facebook, just the trailer up, a week ago, and it's gotten hundreds of thousands of views, thousands of shares. Thank you. Especially in Malaysia, it's been very popular, and I think part of the popularity is that a lot of these people have never seen themselves represented on camera, and also I think a lot of the young people are oh, we do need to conserve our culture and our landscape, and they're kind of rallying around that, which is very heartwarming for my participants who've been working in protection of land and culture for decades.
How can we get involved, not only as audience members, but maybe people that are not able to be at the festival but want to see your film, want to support it, and maybe you can get involved with the cause against deforestation?
Well, there's many. That's also a really complex question, but it's the most important question. And I think how to get involved is there's on a practical level, of course you can donate to organizations like the Bruno Manser Fund or even Callio Conservation, ones focused on conserving this particular culture's landscape. But I think it's so much more systemic, modernization and I guess the westernization and all these forces that destroy a culture. And that is not easily changed. That's changed through things like social media. That's changed through changing the mentality of the young people to care about and to try to protect and feel proud of their culture and feel proud and care enough about the landscape to try to protect that. And so that's I guess, soft activism, but the raising awareness and changing mentalities, and that's why festivals like this are so important for putting the highlight on to put the highlight on Asian filmmaking and yeah.
Well, I was gonna ask, where did you get your lovely dress? It's amazing. I'll give you a softball one now.
I got this dress. It is from Atelier Bay. It's a designer in Montreal. So I'm from Montreal, so I'm wearing local. I actually brought mostly only local clothing to the festival. Okay. So, yeah. One
last question I'd like to ask you is, you spoke a little earlier about being Vietnamese, yet doing a film about a very strong Malaysian issue right now. Can you speak a little bit, maybe perhaps, I don't know if there was a struggle or the process in which, as an Asian filmmaker, not only satisfying voices that are marginalized, such as the Malaysians here, or maybe even for yourself, what did you face? Because new media these days, especially with Asian Americans, the world's so crazy, it's so different. What was your experience and maybe the struggles, the triumphs in being an Asian American filmmaker?
Okay, struggles of being an Asian American filmmaker. I think, so when I started this film, working on this for 5 years, I was like pretty young when I started the film, and
You're still a baby. You're still very, very young. You got time, don't worry.
No, the thing is that I didn't really think much about my cultural heritage then. Like, I think throughout the process of making this film and seeing how much Mu Tang, the main character, is trying to preserve his culture for future generations, made me really look back and be like, think about my culture. So in my next film, I do want to make it in Vietnam. And I think it's like a process. I grew up in a very white neighborhood in Calgary, Alberta, and I wasn't exposed to a lot of Vietnamese people. And so maybe I'm right now going through a process of trying to reconnect with my culture.
Very, very cool. So after this, can we see a sequel? Is Mu Tang gonna have the Mu Tang clan and then the Kung Fu? I'm messing with you. But what's next after this?
After this, so there's also we're just releasing an interactive web experience. It's really cool. It's like a 3D, kind of like Google Earth mixed with animation, where you get to explore the area that is about to be destroyed, flooded, and you get to hear the elders tell some of the myths of different landmarkings of the area that we filmed. So that's www.landandlegends.com. And so that's kind of like a companion project to the film. And there will be, and after that, I don't know, this is the beginning. Like, this is the first festival this film's been in. It's hopefully going to be in more, and so. Well,
we wish you the best of luck, and in closing, I mean, where can we find you on social media? What's the best way to support and help another fellow Asian Canadian? Sorry, I have to get used to saying that one. Hey, now I'm being terrible. All right, but where can we follow you to support the film and to see what you're doing?
Yeah, if you look up A Time to Swim on Facebook, there's a Facebook page, and if you follow us there, it'll be and also, or you could follow me on Twitter personally at Duong, D-U-O-N-G, Ashley, A-S-H-L-E-Y. And
can I suggest one thing? Hashtag Mu Tang Clan. Think about it. Let that marinate. Yeah. So just put me a little credit at the end of the sequel, and we'll be good. Well, thank you so much, Ashley.
So much.
Best of luck. Thank you.